What up, Dokkaners? Global finally got top grossing. It took a little bit of extra time, but we got it. So this is the announcement. We got this last night. 50 Dragon Stones being put into your gift box for 6 regions getting #1 in top grossing games. So what we're going to first do is we're going to go ahead and check the numbers. We're going to see how the game has done over the last few days, both on iOS and Android. And then we'll go ahead and do some summons because you guys voted for me to do just that right here. Do it. So we're gonna go ahead and do it. Yeah, I don't need to summon, but this is sort of my way to give back. Just like how I spent a bunch of money to help us get top grossing, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit more, just for the spirit of it. Plus, this is a tradition. So let's go ahead and go through here. Belgium, France, Hong Kong, Italia, Luxembourg, and Spain. 50 Dragon Stones, hit potential orbs for int and physical. Bunch of Kais, Hercule statues, coins, and stickers. So let's go ahead and check the numbers here. So again, it's a very cyclical thing. It goes up and down whenever banners drop or like sales drop. So let's go focusing in on the most recent summons. So let's start from the 11th to the 12th. This is where things we're kind of just stalling and waiting. Okay. Then we go from 12th to the 13th. This is the day before. Still nothing. Although Finland and Malta were getting a little traffic. Interesting. Okay, now if we go to the 13th to the 14th. This is where we start to see a massive spike. So starting with games and puzzle, we had a bunch of, I wish it would tell you at the top how many countries hit #1. That's annoying. Okay, well, we had a ton of regions getting #1 in games and puzzle. Games and action, which is a broader category, somehow had more, which is interesting. How can you have more? How can you have more #1s in this, in a broader category than a more specific one? Maybe I'm not understanding that. But all games, we still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is where they got the numbers right here. All games. If we go to overall, how did we do? Only one region. Okay, so yeah, this was the most sensible place to do it. Going any further, see the other thing when it comes to fudging the numbers is they also need to find that perfect sweet spot to justify a 50 stone payout. Because before they made this whole change, where 3 regions getting #1 equals 50 stones, it used to be every region equals 7 free stones. And so for global, back in the day when we were, dominating the charts, even for the most insignificant throwaway banners, getting #1 in 10 regions meant 70 Dragon Stones. But now if we get #1 in like 16 regions, 50 stones is still 50 stones, but it's going to seem a little bit more like, dang, we kind of did a lot. Shouldn't we be getting more? So that's why they have to make sure they pick and choose their spots wisely. And that's why they chose this. So let's continue. It's been a few more days, so I want to see how every day has been since. And we're also going to check Android, because in part 1, Android actually got #1 on global, I think for multiple days. Okay, so this is where we start to stall. We start to drop off. Yeah, there's no more activity here. Okay, so it's done. So Android or iOS is done. So now let's go back and let's reset. So for Android, it takes a couple of days. So let's switch from, what? Oh, right, over here, Google Play. Let's go to Dokkan Battle. There's a thing called Dokkan. What the fuck? Okay. Dokkan. Top grossing overall. This is for Android. Okay. So now, this is 2 days before. Okay, from the 12th to the 13th. This is the day before the announcement. Still nothing. Oh, although the US saw some life. Interesting. Okay. The day before, 13th to the 14th. Now, Android functions a little bit differently. First of all, it is a much more overly saturated market. And also it takes like 3 extra business days for the numbers to start to pour in. So on the first day, we're not seeing anything. In fact, everything is kind of going down. There's a few countries, a couple of countries, Denmark and Malta, that are kind of doing some stuff. So if we go to the 14th, 15th, still nothing. 16th to 17th, I feel like we're going to start to see stuff. 15th to 16th. Yeah, still nothing. So I think now we're going to see it. There, see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? And now everything is pouring in. And so we have hit #1 in games and action in a lot of regions. A lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We got like 14 regions. Games, though, nothing. Part 1, we got number 1 in games as well, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'm gonna go back and look. But this right here is meeting the same condition that we did before, where if we got number 1 in Android and iOS, we would get one of those big fat thank you rewards. Now, I think after part 1 and part 2 is over, we're still gonna get something like that. But the fact that we didn't get this for part 1 kind of annoys me, because this was a pretty significant feat. Let's go back and let's go see. So when did the part 1 summons start? Because that is going to be an important factor when considering this. So if we go to summon or campaign details, this one started on the 28th. Okay. So with that said, let's go back to the 28th. So let's start from 27th to the 28th. Again, Android, it takes a little while, but we're still going to go through it. So we're kind of chilling. 20th to the 29th. Nothing. 29th to the 30th. I think nothing. It's going to be from the 30th to the... Oh, okay. We start to see some life. Okay. Regions at number 1. We've got 3. Okay. And then do we get a little bit more, or was that it? No, it keeps going. No number 1 in all games. But look at all the number 1s in games in action. Okay. Now if we go to the 31st to the 1st. No. Okay, so maybe I was misremembering. Revisionist memory. Sorry. But we still got number 1. And this is, I mean, look, the fact that this doesn't happen all that much should mean a lot. So JP, I don't think managed to get number 1 in Androids. I think that's ultimately why. But this time around, I think we are getting Androids number 1. All right, so here's Truth's tweets on the daily updates. Android 29 for JP. Android 35 for JP. Android 39 for JP. Remember, it takes a couple days, so this is nothing. And then on the most recent, I trust John Dragon Ball. Look, 4th in Android might reach number 1 soon. See? We're almost there. We're almost there. I think though, again, I think it's not going to be a thank you for getting number 1 in Android and iOS. I think it's going to be a thank you for supporting the game end of anniversary thing, but we'll see. Maybe I'm being too cynical. Maybe they'll actually give us some stones for that, but we'll see. All right, so that being said, we are all done with the numbers. Let's go ahead and jump in and do the summons. Again, congratulations to all the regions for helping carry us, y'all the goats. And shout out to Dokkan for still having motion at getting 15 regions, number 1 on Android. That is actually quite significant. So I did a poll. In the poll, I said, do it, don't do it. And 80%, as always, said do it. So that's what we're gonna do. We are going to pay it forward once again by donating some stones back into the ether, and we're gonna do some more summons on the game. Why am I doing this? Because it's tradition. Honestly, that's the only reason. I know full well going into these anniversaries, I aim to rainbow the characters on like when I start the summons, and then I am fully aware that in the future summons with tickets and whatnot, there's always a chance to get more. That's just how it is. That's just how it's come to be. So we're gonna go ahead and do some summons here because honestly, I'm in love with Legic. I like the 2 LRs, but I like Legic. I think my favorite category coming out of this has been GT Boss. So I want to go in here and I want to pull some more Legic. I'm not doing crack on the Vegeta. I'm doing crack on Legic. Oh. All right, let's get it. We're gonna do a buy 3 get 1 free sort of setup for this summon, and that will be our community service for the day. All right. If you are wondering, Toon, should I spend my stones? The answer is yes. If you are unsure, yeah, go ahead and summon. This is the time to be summoning. Anniversary, GDC, the 2 biggest celebrations of the year. This is when you should be going crazy on the... Are you serious? This is when you should be going crazy on the summons. Oh, I love you so much. Actually, like, could I run you as an SSR? Dodge? What's your dodge? He's got 40% dodge. No, he's probably not functioning. Dude, I still might. Not gonna lie, I still might. Anyway, this is the time to be summoning, and then saving up happens between now and GDC. Now, that's easier said than done, because like... some